Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have another top 16 breakdown. This time it is for the Oceania Dragon Ball Super National event that happened this past weekend. There were 117 players with 7 rounds of Swiss to the top 16 cut that we see here today. This is also with the rankings there, and if you guys want to see the bracket, it's also part of this document here too, and if you just want to see how the matchups go. But one big thanks to TAC for not only running this event, but also for publishing the list, as well as if you guys do appreciate these lists, I did hand transcribe them all into DBS Deck Planet, which was not a trivial amount of work, but I do know a lot of you guys get a lot from it, especially since some of the pictures weren't great and some of the card arts aren't always clear what they are. So they should be all 100% good. If there's any differences or anything I got wrong, please let me know. I'll make sure to update them. But again, if you did appreciate that, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I would appreciate it right back. But going into this top 16, we do have 7 Super Saiyan God Gokus, with one of them winning the event, 2 Red Syns, 1 Green Cooler, 1 Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta, a Trunks and Vegeta, a Gohan superhero, a Gamma, a BT2 Vegito, and a Soul Striker to end it off. And what a weird thing to have the Super Saiyan God Goku go from nothing to like sometimes like getting a weird top into being the best deck by stats in the format. Very weird, especially since it just has been hanging out. If you told me when this released in the beginning of this year, this would be not only winning 2 Nats plus, but just be the best deck in the format and potentially be the best one at Worlds if the meta doesn't change. So very, very interesting to see there. And obviously, yeah, 7 whole ones at this event, which is just almost half of this top cut was that. And a lot of them, of the top 4, 3 of the top 4 are running this deck, which is crazy. So we're going to go over each leader individually with the top placing ranking, starting off with the first place list of Super Saiyan God Goku. Starting off, we have Robert Rietze's first place Super Saiyan God Goku Crimson Warrior deck. And real quick for people who don't know, both Robert Rietze, who ended up getting first, and Marcus Cantarsi, that got top 16 for event, are Americans, including Marcus getting second place in the North American event too. So both of them ended up flying out to this event to compete at it, and both of them did very, very well, obviously. Obviously, you can't do much better than getting the first place finish for that. So congrats to both players for representing North America at this event too, and just hitting it out of the park. Very, very good showing for that. And going into this list specifically, and I kind of glazed over this in the intro too, but this deck is good. This deck is really good right now. It's like the best kept secret that North America had, and it's strong. And it not only was it strong in North America, but apparently most of the event, like this is the best deck not only in performance, but most people were playing it. It was the most represented leader at the entire event. So people are loving it. It's doing very, very well, and it's just in a really good spot right now. So I will say most of these decks are very similar looking. You kind of have to, even for something that has like a lot of this unofficial archetype stuff, it's pretty understood what are the good Saiyan cards that you kind of want to put in your deck for that. Though there are some kind of choice picks that I see that Robert made that I don't really see for most of these other ones. So the first thing is that the Tapions, he's only running 2 of the Unison, but he's also running 4 of the Calamity Challenger, which if you do get it, one, it's just a 5k combo, so this Trunks can get like an extra 5k combo. If you just need the draw or you don't have like the time to put up a Unison, you know it's just going to be dead in hand. So that's kind of nice. But also being able to, if you do have a Unison out, you can play this for 1 with Spirit Boost for 15k. If you have 3 or more energy, you get to play it from your hand. So 20k double strike for 1 is pretty good. Obviously, we've been seeing for 2, we get to get a dual attack with barrier, so that's pretty good for us here. We can't do the EX Evolve because we don't have the cards for it, but other than that, nothing too crazy except for the Super Saiyan Bardock Spirit Resonance as well. Auto limit 2, Spirit Boost 2. If your opponent has 3 or more energy into your turn when this card attacks at the end of battle, when this was used in a combo from your hand, shoots to one of your mono blue leader cards, can switch to active mode. It gets plus 5k power for the turn, negates keyword skills for the turn, and you can't activate your leader card's non-keyword skills for the turn. So obviously this would be like after you are able to do everything, but being able to just get 1 more attack with this leader is quite strong for it, and getting the plus 5k, even like without getting like the untap or everything else with it, it's really great, especially since you do get to you're kind of a little bit needing to be in battle for this Videl effect. So yeah, if your leader's in battle and you place this in your drop, you can combo this from your drop area. So if you need to do that, like that's something you can do too. It's not super big, but it is something you can do. And yeah, I don't know. This deck's very good. How flexible you're able to be with it, and just how much energy you get, how much combo, how much cycle you get, how much consistency. There's a really good reason that it's everywhere, and it's just so surprising how it just sparked. A lot of people had the idea, kept it under wraps, and now I'm going to see if anything happens to it. Like it's like on a ban risk now, I'd say, just from everything else. Z-Dex, I'd say pretty plain, honestly. There's just solid. Cell's great, Vegeta's great, Beer's great. And then nothing too shocking. I do love this group leader peel off. I think it's a very, very strong card. And it's even if you're not running Majin Buu with this card is snapped. But even without it, being able to just get something, remove barrier from it, and then your opponent's kind of afraid. Or you can remove like triple strike or double strike too, which is great. And all of this is just a strong, like for one energy in this deck where you have so much floating energy so much of the time, that's a really good pick. So just big congrats again to Robert Rietze, and looking forward to seeing his showing at Worlds as well. Next up, we have our second place list. So this is Alan Liu's second place green cooler, and we are seeing a lot of similarities, I'd say, from this event and the North American event. And whereas mostly, blue is doing the best, red is second best, and then there's one green list and one yellow list. So this is the one green list for the event here. And it's a very, very solid one from the games that I were able to catch with it, and just seeing how this deck works. Cooler has been okay. It has gone like a couple occasional tops every once in a while, but it's never been super duper meta for what we've been seeing. But there are some great effects that you are able to go for. Just the fact that this Gohan's like the best one of the Sun Gohan rares. This is the best one of all of them. It's fantastic. So if you guys haven't seen it because you're not playing green, for one green, if your leader is green, when this card is added to your Z energy, choose up to one of your opponent's unisons and remove 3 markers from it, which is dumb, which is really, really dumb. So like if you attack with your leader into like a Majin Buu, and then you combo with this card, you get to 20k if you're an awakened leader, and then you get to get rid of the other 3 markers. It's very strong, and your opponent won't really be able to interact with that, and being able to get rid of their 4 energy play for 1 energy in a leader swing is fantastic value. So that's great there. And then also for 2, if your leader is a green or Master's Teaching, and you can play this from your hand if your life's at 4 or less and has deflect, critical, and when this card's played, choose 20 opponent's battle cards KO it, then this card can't be KO'd by your opponent's skill until the end of their next turn. So you can do some stuff where you do that, and then you can like even combo it from board to go into your Z energy. Like it's just a really flexible card, and a 25k crit. It's just very, very good. The rest of the archetype just kind of goes around going through your unisons and getting their value from there. But the fact that you're able to play unisons off your leader, which is great from there. There's so much cycling from it, and honestly, like a lot of decks are very susceptible to hand destruction right now, specifically because it's not really in the meta either. So I don't think a lot of people were ready for any hand destruction effects going on. And this Frieza is great at that. That does have some of this, and you can go hard into it if you go the Whis and the extra one in there too. And also like even the Zamasu, and like this deck is really teched up, I think, against a good blue matchup. And I think there are some good plays that you're able to do with it that they're not really able to interact with. The only thing that's kind of rough about this is that you do kind of rely on your unisons a bit, and because of that, you are susceptible to Black Smoke Dragon. But besides that, I think is in a good spot. We also have like the Piccolo Jr. and Goku Jr. or not Goku Jr. Goku. Faded Rivals. Both these cards are great for what you're doing, and also the Cellmax, the Liver of Despair. Do you have a way to remove this out of this deck? I probably should check this out. I don't inherently think so. I don't think there's a way, unless I'm missing it. Let me know in the chat. I don't think there's a way inherently for you to. Yeah, like this is just for discard one. Yeah. Nothing too crazy. I don't think there's a way that you can self-proc this, except for maybe Big and More. Nah, there's nothing. Let me know. I don't think there's a way to do it, but it's still just a really good card. It has a quad strike, and it's great. So anyways, congrats to Alan for their second place finish. Really good showing, especially with green in a meta that hasn't been loving green very much. So next up, we have our top 8 list, because the rest were Super Saiyan God Gokus. It is the Michael Paxton's top 8 Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta. And this was obviously the bully, at least at the end of the BT18 meta or going into the anniversary box meta. This was the deck that a lot of people thought needed to go, and that was just the best deck that in a lot of ways. And I do agree that this deck does do stupid things. I think like it's always compared to Red Syn. We're going to talk about Red Syn because that also topped. It also got in top 8. And it's just, it does so much. And the biggest thing that this deck does is that it builds a lot of Z energy. There's a lot of ways for you to combo. There's a lot of ways for you to get a lot of card draw. And then from that, you're able to get your plays very consistently and go from there. I think one big thing, though, is that people are figuring out how to get around the 8-drop if needed, which is a really big play. And to a point where I don't see people playing the 8-drop as much and more if they're just getting the value from this deck. But the fact that you are able to run these Rush Attack, Super Saiyan Blue Vegetas, these just get so much value in a lot of ways. And then also the Defender of Life. This is silly. This is a silly card to exist just for everyone. I think this card needs to just be for pan leaders, honestly. That would fix a lot of these decks too. Being able to just go from 4 to 3 by paying 2 energy on a deflect double strike with barrier, essentially, is pretty dumb. So I don't know if that's going to ever change, but the fact that this is open to all leaders does do a lot of good things, and I think some unintended interactions. And the biggest thing for this list here for like a deck building that I've seen is your choice of secret rare as well. If you want to go Vegito or the Vegeta, I think both are good. The only difference with this one is that if you end up having to use this as like a emergency defense tool and get one more turn, this is a card that can save you outright. And can still win you the game outright too, because you're able to use the effect to get the plus 10k and then also get rid of a card in your opponent's hand as big quad strike, and you can kind of go from there. So I think this deck's good. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. It's not. I think it's very counterable because what it does is pretty linear, but it's very, very good at doing what it does too. So even if you know what it's going to do, sometimes it can just outpace you and just kind of go from there. So congrats to Michael there. And next is Dean Harper's list too, and pretty much most of what I said about SS4 is the same. This deck just gets so much value, and both of these decks too, they get a lot of value without having to take cards from their life, which is why like Universe 7 was good, and that deck was really good for a long time. And then these just both outpaced it because they needed to power creep it, and they sure did. So what was it? Dean's list here is using the red yellow package, and I think we've seen enough of this deck with the red yellow package. Obviously, there's 3 ways to build it: mono red without unisons, are the red yellow package, and I think the red yellow package is just good enough to exist in this deck, and it's just doing really good. I mean, Almighty Resistance is a fantastic card. Being able to use this to make sure your triple strike goes in is enough to win you the game more times than not, because you're going to have more cards in your hand more times than not. The fact that this deck has a 20k double strike crit on this is just sometimes wins you the game on the spot too, which is really dumb. And you guys already have opinions about this deck too. I don't have to say too much about it, but it's in a good spot. I think Synchron, like by and large, is like better than SS4 Goku. It's just a little bit easier to play. Like this deck, you definitely just play the game that you want to play and see if your opponent reacts for it. I feel like there's a little bit more interaction with this deck at times, but yeah, this just has so much board removal too, which just makes it really stinky to play against. But anyways, congrats to Dean for their finish there. And next up, we have our only yellow deck in this top 16. It is Young Teoh's, I probably said that wrong, my apologies, and their Trunks and Vegeta. And I didn't check this, but I'm like 99% sure this is fairly close to the Muxit's list from North America that got 3rd place in our event as well. And the big kind of things that I saw in Musket's list that were atypical to me at the time that I saw for this list too is the double mirror, double champa is like a big flag for that. But then also it's the choice of the super combo being the Vegeta, Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta Fatherly Assistance. This just being a Vegeta is better, I think, outright than being a Krillin and get the draw 2 bomb deck 1, not in that order. So that's just fantastic because it's searchable in a lot of ways. This Bomba can just look at the top 5 and get your super combo, and especially since you're only running 3 super combos, since you're running the Son Gohan Piccolo, I think that consistency bump just is a lot better for this deck. So many times I just talk to people and I ask them what happened, why did you lose? And the answer, how many times like people just answer, I didn't see my super combos, and they saw 3 and I lost because of it. it's very true. So just being able to help almost guarantee that you see 1, 2, even all 3 of your super combos, I think is very strong and something that you should. It's worth that. And the Sparking 5 isn't too terrible, but just make sure on your Miro plays that you sequence that all kind of right. But I don't have much more than that. Deck is still strong. This came out the same time as Super Saiyan God Crimson Warrior, but it's obviously topped a lot more, except for in these last couple weeks where Crimson Warrior's just really taken off. I don't have much more to say. There's the Unison package in the side in case you need it. But yeah, Unisons in the main are just so scary with those Black Smoke Dragons hanging out. You really can't afford to run. Even though these are 3-cost Unisons, you are kind of scared about those. So anyways, congrats there to Young there. And next we have Mark and his top 16 Gohan. This is one of the few lists. There are 2 lists that top this event, or 2 leaders that top this event that did not top the North American Nationals, and this is one of them. It is the Gohan superhero from the newest set. I don't have a lot of insight for this deck. I do know the kind of game plan. It's kind of like a blue version of like the Broly that keeps resetting their hand, but you can only have 3 energy. But the reason that's kind of balanced is because you only you don't need that much energy anyways, because you're getting a lot of card draw, and a lot of your options, a lot of cards you play are for 1 energy anyways. So just kind of the idea for this is that if all your energy is mono blue, one of your blue battle cards is added to your Z energy, switch up to one of your energy to active mode. This is once per turn on both players' turn. And then also activate main or battle once per turn, draw until you have 3 cards in hand. So this list in general, I know a lot of people got, I would say, almost greedy by running extra cards, or but not running any extra cards, only running battle cards is probably the way to go. This seems like it's very consistent in that, just because you can combo and then you can draw 3 and then continue to combo. And then you do have like the Deluge of Power to get that extra plus 5k for blue battle cards. We do have the Supreme Kai of Time, which will always be a 10k for 0, which is really, really good. And we also have like the Tag Team Trunks, which is really interesting. You can choose 1 card in your hand, send to your warp. This card gets double strike for the battle, which is nice because sometimes, like, if you're going to discard the cards anyways to draw up to 3, it makes sense. Mirror's in here too, Champa's in here too, and just kind of the regular stuff, including the 8-drop, which for 1 blue, if your leader is blue or yellow, you have 3 or more blue or yellow cards in your combo, you can play this card from your hand. Auto limit 1, this card attacks, draw 1, and if your opponent has a battle card in play, this gets plus 5k power for the battle. And also active main once per turn if you have 5 or more energy or 2 or more Z battle cards in play. 5 or more Z energy. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and you cost a 3 or more, ignoring bear, place at the bottom of the owner's deck. So a lot of good effects for this guy, and it's very helpful there. And then obviously you run the secret that the deck was made for. Putting 2 cards to the bottom of your deck just is very easy for this guy, and then you get to refill your hand and you get all the added benefits from it too. So nothing too crazy otherwise from that. It's just a very strong deck, and just the card draw with it is really insane. So big congrats there to Mark for their finish. Probably missing some of the tinier things with this deck, but again, it's really good. I highly recommend trying it if you haven't. I think it's really cool. Anyways, next up we have, let's see, Alex's top 16 Gamma, and we've been seeing Gamma pretty often, and this is, I would say, like the most conservative list I've seen with it. There's not a lot of everything is an Android and our blue green. It runs a lot of, I'd say, even the original package, including the Android 18 as a counterattack, which you can play. You can activate this cards from your energy, which is neat, but normally I don't see people play that. Also running the Android 8 super combo as well, for the just always have something to charge, because sometimes if you play the blue green Android 18, you kind of have a rough time if you need to charge it at times. Being able to always charge this is kind of nice there. And just again, no black cards, no like Son Goku apes to draw, just the pure deck, as almost like I'd say like Bandai originally intended it to be. The only kind of weird add is the Son Gohan Power Reclaimed, but this is really good for it. And also, 7 or less in all areas, and this is an 8 cost. So it gets around the leader skill because of its 8 cost. Even though you play it for 3 or use the effect for 1, since it's an 8 cost card, you can activate the effects of this, which is really nice. It's a really nice add for a deck like this, where traditionally you'd have to only play Android cards or you're missing out on stuff. So Nothing too much different from there. Being able to run blue-green is really nice to be able to play Jiren. Even though this takes 2 specific green, it is a strong card for the deck. And I don't have much more than that. So congrats to Alex for their finish there. And next up we have John Argyros' BT2 Vegito. And I really do like this deck. And I think it's overwhelmingly decided that having the 4 colors is the way to go. 3 colors was not enough for this deck, so you want to be running the yellow as well. Not only because we do have like some good Gokus and Vegetas, like this Vegeta being a counterattack for 1 is quite nice, but also being able to play Almighty Resistance again, like we see in Red Syn, is a good add for the deck. Without having to really compromise a lot. You only have to charge like 1 yellow Goku for that, which is really nice. And just everything else with this deck. You have a lot of big boys that like to do a lot of damage if they get in, for example, a big triple strike here, or like another triple strike here, or like another, I don't know, triple strike here. So like if you get into the combo phase, you're normally doing super good with it. And the fact that you're able to go into these very cheaply and very quickly means that there's a lot that goes on with it. So running a tight 50 to make sure that you see the pieces you want to see, and then running 1 of the Vegito, 4 of the Vegito Z battle cards, 1 Oolong as well because you are playing yellow, which is nice, and then the Rush Attack Super Saiyan Blue Vegetas. So overall, pretty solid list. I do like Vegito in general, and I'm really happy that it's actually seeing play for like the first time since release, despite getting like new support every year. I'm happy that this support is good enough for a top 16 finish, and just a big congrats again to John. So finishing this video off, we do have Anthony Hain's top 16 Soul Striker, and people, you know, this was immediately said like, oh, why would I play Crimson Warrior when Soul Striker is still in the meta? And even if this was unnerfed, I still would say that Crimson Warrior might have a big edge for it. And it's really weird, right? Because like this says, I untap 2 energy every turn, and Super Saiyan God. Crimson Warrior says I only untap 1 on the attack, and I get like 1 extra in the rest of the game, right? And then it's done. I get to spend it once for an extra untap, and that's it, right? But it's just the timing for it, the flexibility for it is just so much better. And just like the early card cycle you get to do with this deck, it just makes a world of a difference, even though it's very weird. It's very weird that ends up being the case. And anyone who doesn't play this game and would ask to say which one of these leaders are better, they probably would almost say this one. Even if with the errata, they'd probably say this one's better, which is really weird. But that aside, big Soul Striker compare there. This is very similar to these Crimson Warrior decks. I would say this is almost like the adoptive 8th finish for the deck in there. You're seeing a lot of the regular cards that it's playing. Some additional adds that are new is that there is the Hirudegarn in this one, since you are able to be a little bit more consistent with the ramp, because the untap 2 does make a difference for that by having the energy available for you. That is impactful enough, I think, and just being able to do that. And like the big thing is that like this has to be like preemptively defensive by having the energy stay up, but with the Crimson you can almost always have a way to untap an energy on your opponent's turn, even if it costs like the once per game of getting the 3 underneath your leader. That is kind of worth it. But continuing on, we do also have like the Son Goku Pycon, which is great for getting barrier and just getting some attacks in. And that's pretty much the deck. You're seeing like the Tapion package with the Trunks of the Calamity Challenger, with the Infiltrator package as well, and just a lot of good blue Saiyan. Like the big difference about this is that you don't have to be as worried about running as many Saiyans, because you don't need that as your awakening condition. It's just that it's unfortunately you can only get this when your life is at 4 or less. You don't get to do the early awakening with that, because can you imagine like this package is already really good. If you can just like consistently get there with the combination of Trunks, Calamity, and then also Tapion, you'd be awakening very early, very consistently, or being able to get that turn 3 awaken very consistently from where you're at. So, which then you'd be at like 6 life, 7 life if you're able to defend it enough, and that makes a big difference. So going to the sideboard, we are seeing, again, you are also just a blue Goku, so you are able to go into the Ultra Instinct Son Goku Limitless Awakening if you need to. And that is pretty much all I really want to talk about for this list. It's pretty standard, again, compared to like how Crimson Warrior, there are tech choices, but Blue Saiyan lists have been really, it really comes down to which leader you like the best. And I think Anthony likes Soul Striker, and it did get him to that top 16, so it definitely worked out there. So Anyways, that is going to be the breakdown for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you made it this far and you haven't hit like and subscribe, I don't know what you're doing. You just watch me ramble for a long, long time, so I'm probably worth those button clicks, and that will be it for me. So again, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I'll catch you all next time.